Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.
Okay, thank you very much. Mishaps, like some people would say, should be avoided. But sometimes, especially, in such cases where there are regular missions, it may not be totally avoidable, but it can be mitigated. It can be properly handled. Yes, it is very important for the efforts to maintain a good, credible, excellent safety record, and so the situation like what happened in Iran, was totally avoidable. It was, down to human error, and misaligned coordinates. So that was a very regrettable incident. But of course, I think the Nigerian Air Force should actually do more in terms of its safety records, because in a lot of cases when you have air mishaps, human lives are involved, and it's not easy for people to just be lost like that. Now, coming to the incident that happened on Monday, I think Nigeria has not really had a good record in terms of handling unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs. We've had cases of crashes, reports of crashes here and there of these UAVs. And the interesting thing is that we bought UAVs from different parts of the world, different countries, and so I just wonder how we're able to manage the complexities of the different technologies. These things have to do with technology. So how do our people who handle all these things, how are they able to master them to the extent that we can prevent, the losses of these UAVs, because they are quite expensive. Interestingly, Nigeria appears to be the only country in sub-Saharan Africa using UAVs in military combat. And so that puts it in a critical position to ensure that those UAVs are well maintained and handled properly. Now, the UAVs, we have largely imported the UAVs, and we also have some that have been developed locally. We called one Amebo, the other one we called the Gulma. So it just in a bid, by the Nigerian government to ensure local capacity in developing, maintaining, and sustaining the use of UAVs. Being in the enviable position of being the only country in sub-Saharan Africa deploying UAVs in combat. Yes, you had a drone base in Niger Republic, but since the military coup happened sometime in 2023, it has not been, so that drone base has not been it has not, I don't know how operational it has been, but I don't think it has really been operational. So these missions are primarily pushed around in the north, in the northeast, primarily in the northwest, as we can see what happened yesterday in Kaduna, which is in the northwest. Then the Nigerian police, that is by the Nigerian military. The Nigerian police also has surveillance UAVs, with which it mans specific areas of the country. But I'm also surprised that the Customs Service doesn't have anything like that, because we say our borders are, when we say our borders are porous, we ought to have things like UAVs that we can use to monitor these borders to ensure that, you know, smugglers are tracked and stopped in their tracks. But when we don't have such, and we keep complaining, oh, that petrol is being smuggled from Nigeria to, other countries, neighboring countries, you know, then what we're doing is that we're just begging the question. You know, we are not showing the world that we are, you know, making efforts to deal with problems that are a big threat to us. So, in terms of what happened on Monday, yes, unfortunately, the media mixed it up and said it was a helicopter, you know, that crashed. But again, even the Nigerian Air Force did not quickly move to provide the proper situation. It took it some hours, and which is a failing on the part of the Nigerian Air Force. Because of course you have the unmanned aerial vehicles, but you have trained pilots who are supposed to, handle these things. Now, when such a thing happens, it is expected that there will be, a communication from, the point where it happened and with the command and control center. There is a battalion, I think 104 battalion in Kaduna, which is in charge of these UAVs. This thing happened in Kaduna. Why did it take such a long time? Why did it take such a long time to, for the world to be told that it was a UAV and not a helicopter? And look at the statement by the Air Force spokesman. After explaining everything, he now went, on an ego-tripping mission, insulting the media and all of that. I think a lot of these guys need to be sent on courses, to understand the nuances of journalism, of reporting. He said the rush to publish. You're not a journalist, and you can't purport to be in a position to teach journalists when to publish and how to publish. Yours is to give out information within your purview, within your area of responsibility. It's not to now become, a judge of the media. That kind of a thing, he could have done a letter to the ombudsman, because Nigerian media has an ombudsman, to say, look at, and then leave it for the ombudsman to continue from there. So it's something I find very distasteful, among spokesmen for public institutions. They don't know where to draw the line. A lot of them are not schooled in public relations, in media relations. A lot of them are not schooled in perception management, image management. They don't know that there are certain things they say that damage, their institutions, damage the images of their principals, and even themselves show them out as being, incompetent to handle such assignments. So, be that as it may, Nigeria must ensure that these UAVs are deployed properly and that they are well maintained. And then the push for, import substitution, to develop Amebo and Goma, UAVs, it's commendable. But we must adhere to standards. Right now, nobody knows whether it's a locally made UAV or an imported UAV that crashed, because that detail has not been put in the public domain. But whatever it is, we must ensure adequate safety standards. We must get to we ought to have got to a point by now when we can safely say that yes, Nigeria has an enviable safety record in aviation, whether civil or military aviation. We must do that. And the rest of, sub-Saharan Africa will be looking up to us, to see how they can also join the use of UAVs, in military operations. So we need to think very seriously about using that as a source of revenue, source of getting badly needed forex, and then also exposing the military to modern technologies, to updated technologies, so that we can be better able to deal with insurgency, deal with terrorism, deal with banditry. And then, of course, let me just close with this. This is the era of climate change. So with the UAVs, we can also, be able to study environmental patterns, so that where there's a likely natural disaster, in the horizon, we can quickly alert the public, to take necessary safety measures. Let's think in terms of, in 21st century terms. And so in that way, we will have a more reliable aviation sector.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.